I'm thinking when I retire, I'm gonna just buy kiln, and I'm gonna buy a wheel, and I'm gonna get a lot of water clay, and I'm gonna just splash and do all kinds of weird stuff.
The hardest part is centering.
Is what?
Centering.
Oh, really?
Because if you don't get
Oh, you throw it in the middle, and it wobbles, right?
Yeah, you have to like push and then go up and then put it down and then push again.
Yeah, that's cool. So why do you have to go up and down again? I see that. Why did they do that?
I think just to like, yeah, to have it like.
Oh, to center it.
Right, so when you do it, you have to lead it first, so you have to like run around and kind of feel it in and try to get as much air out. And then when you slap it down, you're never gonna like get it in the center. I've done it for years, I just can't get it in the center. So then you push together up and then down, and the more you do that, it centers more and more and more.
So you just taught me. That's awesome. I learned something today. It's awesome.
That was always my biggest issue, was trying to get it centered, because my hands also, I was very bad at keeping the pressure and keeping my hands steady. I think if you've got a good steady hand, then you'll probably be great at it.
And use your streamers.
Yeah.
Oh, another good tip. Thank you. Yeah, that's awesome.
Usually use your knees also really help because you're.
Or just lean on your knees.
Yeah, you're mainly gonna be like that anyway because you pick it up, but like it helps you steady. It helps you like so you're like not wobbling with it.
Yeah.
I try to dig my elbow.
Man, you guys could be my teachers, man. That's awesome. I love that. That's
I'm
awesome.
doing it right now, actually.
Are you really?
Ceramics is
Advanced student.
I did it in high school. My ceramics teacher really helped out with that, and I was originally going to do a sculpting class, but I never got the chance. But I did stuff that was similar with it, like I would make boxes or something with
Right.
stuff to it. Like I made a box, and I was like, I don't know how to make this anything interesting. So then I was like, looking at stuff, I was like, oh, okay, I have an idea. So I go to my teacher, like, can I add legs?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So it just became like a little monster with like just lines and then really weird legs. So I always like would sculpt, but like not like with wires or anything. I just would learn kind of based off of what I can do.
Right.
But ceramics was still really fun. Got to make like all kinds of cups and things and all that. I would recommend it as well. If sculpting is therapeutic, I think.
Yes.
It's
About the same, right? I mean, it's almost like a surprise, right? Because I've done a couple. I think in middle school I did some like clay, and then you glaze it wet, right? And it looks like boring and gray, and then you put it in the kiln, and it comes out like all beautiful colors and stuff. It's like it's amazing. It's like magic.
We make our own legs here.
Oh, do you really? So you don't? Then you know exactly what kind of colors it's going to come out and stuff like that, or?
Not always. Especially like it depends on who made the glaze too. So it changes every time because people put different ratios of things in.
Yeah.
So it never actually looks how it looks on the tile.
Right. Yeah.
Or like the swatch. It's a little different every time.
Yeah.
That's kind of fun though.
I think as creative people, we all just want to try different things, right? And I encourage you to try every kind of medium you can. It's just like I was just sitting in on Dave's classes, and he was showing two girls how to weld, and I'm fascinated by welding, and I've never been able to do it. And I was like, this is so cool. And just like 45 minutes of me watching him instruct those two girls, I learned so much. I said, this is amazing. And I said, I got to go and just, now I want to buy TIG weld, whatever, and then buy all this stuff, and I want to be able to, sculpt, or some weld some big metal objects, and stuff. So I think it's a lot of fun, And then Mary's class too, I started,
Has there like been a certain kind of like art form that you have struggled with? Because I know I've tried a lot of them. One of them was watercoloring. I can't seem to grasp it. Is there a certain kind of art form that you struggle at all with?
It's funny. We have a lot of similarities, but same watercolor. I was gonna say watercolor. My dad was a watercolorist, so I would learn some techniques from him. But it's been proven as the hardest medium to work in. I mean, acrylic is hard, and the paint, oils, and all that stuff. But watercolor is extremely difficult. You got to kind of really plan it out, and you got to go your lights to darks, and so you don't want to do the opposite way. So it's extremely difficult. And I have some friends that work at Disney, or they used to work at Disney. They're masters at it. Like if you ever saw the movie Lilo and Stitch,
Yeah.
it was all painted with watercolors, and it's so
really
beautiful
pretty.
to watch. It is so beautiful. Yeah, it's just. it's stunning, and it's just like I wish I could get more into that, but I pretty much stay away from watercolor. Because I haven't had any classes, so it's really frustrating me. And I haven't had any classes, and the rest of I do a lot of acrylic painting. Most of these all are acrylic paintings. However, it's a little more manageable for me. I learn as I paint, and pretty much self-taught. But thank God we have so much technology these days, and I learned from just going on YouTube and YouTubing. How do you paint a tree in acrylic, you know? And sometimes Bob Ross will pop up and paint little happy trees, you know? And I'm telling you, I learned from him. I learned from, you know, all these artists. I just started looking at YouTube and how to do techniques and stuff. And so, yeah, I think like those trees are really difficult for me to paint. Trying to get the nice blends, you know, and I don't like streaking, and I try to blend my colors without using an airbrush. A lot of people will airbrush something to get that soft shadow and things, which I have done. If you look at some of the pieces around the room.
Bambi one, correct?
The Bambi was airbrushed.
That one's probably my favorite. I like airbrush, but I also I have like a lot of favorites. Bambi is also one of them, so I guess seeing it is really nice. And I think you were saying something about how like someone said it's not really blending, you're just spraying it. I mean, I think it still is a certain technique because you have to like have it not spray it hard or spray it slow.
Oh, absolutely.
Do people still say that now about it?
Well, I don't do a lot of airbrushing anymore, but yeah, it's just, I think, just people being ignorant at work, you know, when they say, oh, you're cheating, you're airbrushing. No, you know, I know a lot of fantastic artists that airbrush everything, you know, and it looks beautiful. That's just another technique, it's another tool, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
cheating isn't like, it's not like you're tracing.
Well,
It's
exactly
literally
right.
just-
yeah.
It's just you're doing a different
That's
technique
just another technique.
like either improve it or just start getting it done faster.
Exactly. I was able to go. I was fortunate to go to the Disney Studios in Burbank, California, where they were working on Pocahontas. And if you look at the backgrounds of Pocahontas, they're very similar to Sleeping Beauty. So when you see that Sleeping Beauty painting over there, Pocahontas had very similar backgrounds, and they use a lot of that inspiration. Ivan Earl designed that whole film. So they use Ivan Earl's influence on Pocahontas. So I was meeting with the head of background painting, and she actually, I said, oh, are you using airbrushing on there? Because she had some beautiful blends, soft blends. She says, no, I'm using just paint. I said, how do you do that? And just by her showing, she just actually got like say a green and then a lighter green next to it, wet, really wet, and just painted them all next to it. And she got one of those big old, like almost like a makeup brush, really soft bristle, and she just started wisping over it, wisp, 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 and just tightly touch. They call it tightly kiss the page, you know, and you just you know, just very loose, you know, and it just blended. It's so beautiful, and I just like the world opened up to me. I was like, oh my God, I can do this, you know, and so I started doing it. So a lot of the pieces that I have since then they're all just paint blended. Especially on the Sleeping Beauty, you can see a lot of it. There's no airbrushing on the Sleeping Beauty or the Cinderella over there, or the Pooh, or a lot of the newer ones I've done. I think on the Dumbo one, that was one of my first ones that I did a lot of airbrush on the tent and things like that. But I like the way it came out. I like the effect that it had. So, like you said, it's not cheating. It's just another technique, you know. And I do mixed media sometimes on pieces. I will actually do. Like, I always had a hard time when I finished a piece. I don't know if I have one here that shows that, but I actually had one where I finished a character and I wanted blush on her cheeks. I think a mini thing right there. I wanted blush on her cheeks, but I was really worried I couldn't get the blend. What I did, this is another cheat, I think, maybe it is, but I got Prismacolor, like a pinkish color, and I just burnished a really dark Prismacolor on a piece of paper, and I got little Q-tips, burnished that, and I wiped Prismacolor pencil onto her cheeks, and that's how it came out. It just blended.
Well, that's really nice.
Yeah, you can't tell that it's Prismacolor, right? And then, of course, I seal everything up, you know, so it lasts on, right? So yeah, so whatever, any little techniques, you know.
I mean, it really goes to show Prismacolor. I think about those are tools that I use in my art. So I never think like this is what professional artists use. But what kinds of brands do you recommend that are kind of like that, just like everyday artists?
What
Yeah.
can you work with?
Yeah, you know, I think Prismacolor. I got the big set, the deluxe set that
Yes,
has like
so many
200.
colors.
It has like 4 layers, and you pull them out, and you. I hate when they get to be that small. I have to replace them. But of course, you can buy those little pencil extenders. You can stick them in, you know, and you can make.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I use that a lot, you know. But I would say I don't even know. It's called Barrel Prismacolor, and I believe those are still around. But there's so many different color pencils out there.
Oh, wow.
I just like to check the weight of it, or how sturdy it is. It's not really soft. You know, it'll break if you put too hard.
Oh, yeah.
But like anything, but
They're also very vivid.
Yes,
I appreciate that.
exactly.
Is that it's very easy to get one strong, nice color
Mhm.
out of them without it looking too streaky or like a crayon or something.
Yeah, I was always a pencil artist. I like pencil work, and so I learned. I got Prismacolors at a young age, and I did a lot of color pencil work. But one of the first paintings I did for Disney was a color pencil piece, and so I enjoy that. So, but then I picked up acrylics. I've done a couple pieces in oils. Just the drawing time when you want to get something done. You know, we have a really amazing artist that she's one of my licensees. She's actually recommended to my licensee that does fine art, and she's fantastic. If you ever want to look her up, her name is Heather Edwards. Most amazing painter. She's like a modern day Renaissance painter. She can paint, and she's all self-taught, which makes me crazy when you look at her work. Anyway, I asked her. She does nothing but oils, and I said, "How do you get it to dry?" She says she puts it in her car during the day. And in a hot day, she lives in Vegas.
That makes sense.
Yeah, she puts it in her car, and said the heat will make it dry faster. So I said, awesome. So I would put it in I live in Florida, so it gets really hot in the attic.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, the attic's like 120 some degrees. Yeah, so I just put it in the attic during the day when I'm not at work. I usually put it upside down because I don't want any kind of like dust particles flying.
Oh, yeah.
So you put it upside down. Right? So, but yeah, so over the years I've touched pretty much everything, like from clay to charcoal to sculpture. Everything. You know, painting, drawing. Now we do a lot of things digitally. Everything is done digitally. I don't have any digital painting here. Well, of course, like that train over there, that little train is kind of digitally painted. But you see the color swatches. That's all approved color Pantone matching system, which is worldwide. So if you get into like graphic side of things, you do need colors. Make sure you get a Pantone book, and that's how you do your Pantone matching, and that's how you indicate. And everybody should know this around the world how to use that. So we have a lot of factories all over the world, so they know. And a lot of have you ever collect pins when you go to Disney? The little pins.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, I was on pin team for 20 some years, so I did quite a few pins. They actually you show them Pantone red is 185 red, and you indicate that when they get to China, they will actually get a little Dixie cup and just start pouring their ink, their colors, and they start mixing it with little spoons, and they just kind of match it up to the Pantone color. So it's not scientific.
It's
Sometimes you might, it's just eye matching. Yeah, and they're extremely talented doing that too.
I was going to ask you say you designed some of the pins.
Lots of pins.
My partner is an obsessive pin artist, or not pin artist, pin collector.
Okay.
She's got massive boards, several boards.
Are they Disney or any other?
Exclusively Disney. Exclusively Disney. She goes to Disney World every summer and always trades pins.
Well, she probably has quite a few of mine then. So I've been.
I was going to ask if there were any that you knew off the top of your head. I could try to ask her if she had.
I do a lot of event pins, so she's been to the event. She probably has some of my pins.
Okay.
I don't do like open edition. That's the ones on the parks all the time. There might be one. There's a very well-known one that it's Tinkerbell,
Okay.
and she's holding like a little vial, and that vial's filled with glitter. So it's a little dimensional vial, and she's a flat pin.
Yeah.
And I created that like 20 years ago, and it's still one of the best sellers.
All right. Well, if she doesn't have it, we'll
Yeah.
have to find it.
And then I did a Mickey, I think, holding a frame. He's holding a frame up, and it's Walt. It's a photograph of Walt. So what we did was we actually used a lot of photographs from the Disney archives, and we reduce them down and put them on a pin. So that's always fun to do, you know. So we actually, the pins that are out there in the world actually right now, I credit our team, our department with actually taking it to the next level. because when we first started doing pins, it was just flat little one little layer pins. And we said, can we do 2 layers? Can we do translucency? Can we do movement? Can we do? And the factories would say, sure, we'll try, and they were able to manage to get it done. And then other companies, like other theme parks and stuff, they were following suit on what we were doing, and they're doing it now. So everybody, because a lot of these factories will do different companies. So yeah. So I'm sorry if you got to go.
Sadly.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming.
Yeah, well, thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
You guys have a great one.
And you let me know. I mean, do we have much more time, or do you guys?
Yeah, I mean, you guys want to keep talking for
Yeah.
a little bit? I mean, it's all driven by your interest and your questions.
And you guys over there too.
I actually do have a small question.
Yeah.
Talking about pins, what is like the steps you take to make pins? Like how do you make a concept for them? What gives you the ideas?
That's a great question. I wish I would have bought some pin concepts. I've done pins for so many years that I have the whole process. And actually, I should have bought that. I'm sorry, I didn't bring that. But yeah, we start with pretty much ideas like anything else. It's all about an idea. And so we have work with merchandisers, right? The merchandisers have to get the orders done for the factories. So but they don't do the art. So they ask us, okay, I need a Mickey Mouse pin for like a Mickey Mouse on a train. So that's all they give us. And then I'll go through and I'll just do some really rough, like I did roughs over here for a t-shirt. He's back here. And those are just roughs, right? So I do like 3 or 4 roughs, and then I will send it over to the merchandiser, and they kind of choose it when they like. And then once they choose one, I'll flesh it out, make sure the characters are modeled. And we actually do it all on the computer now. We used to do it by paper and pencil, but now it's all on the computer. So I'll draw everything on the computer, and so we have to give them a clean black line. And it's got to be a certain thickness, 0.03 thickness, because the factories, they have like a system in their computers that can scan in the art, and it reads that 0.03 thickness of the pen. And from there, their computers in there will actually make like a metal mold. And there's a couple ways of doing it, but that's one of the ways they make metal molds, and then they stamp them out, or they can make a mold and like a remember those at theme parks when you get that mold makes a plastic little character or whatever, like a dolphin or something, you go to the aquarium or whatever. But they do a thing like that where they have these molds come in and it fills with an alloy metal, and it pops out, and then from there they break it off of there, and then they sand it down, and they fill it with ink and with little syringes. And I've been to the factories in China. It's the most amazing thing to see. I mean, I have so much respect for these people. They sit there, and I'm talking 50 to 100 people sitting in these chairs with syringes with one color in it. Say it was like Mickey's eyes, and you can imagine a pin's that big and Mickey's this big. You can fill in that little black of his eyes on that thing, and they can sit there and they can just, with the syringe, they just almost squeeze their finger, and just a little bit of ink comes out, fills up that reservoir. It's like it's like a reservoir. It's kind of like, if you look at a side view of it, it just fills up in this area, right? And it's one color at a time. Once they do all the blacks, then they have to bake it. They put it in an oven and bakes it. Then they bring it out, and they do all the whites, and they bake it. They do all so it's a long, tedious process. And then once they get and then she's an assembly line. So one person will be doing all the blacks, and then one person will be doing all the whites. And so it kind of goes in assembly line. And they have people being in these trays full of pins to fill in all the colors. And so I tried to do the ink onto, and I just blop it all over the place. That was a mess. It was a mess. So, and they laughed when I did that. They were laughing at me. Other than that, they're very disciplined. They don't talk. They're doing their job. I was videotaping them, and I was asking them to look at me and smile, but they wouldn't. They're just doing their job. I guess they know their boss is watching. But yeah, it was an eye opener to see the way they make pins, And once they get all the colors done, they're all baked and everything. They're all kind of blobby over each other. They're kind of like all blended together. What they do is they have another group of people that just sand them down. So they get like 4 on a piece of board, and then they grind them. It's almost like polishing them, and that polishes off the top layer of paint, and it goes right down to the metal ridges, and then that's how you see the little outlines. But it's not that pretty gold or brass that you see on pins. It's just like a dull aluminum color. And then that's when they do the electroplating. They dip them in they put every pin. It's kind of hard. I wish I had visuals on this, but they call it almost like it's like a tree, and it's like metal pole with all these little poles on it, and then they wire every pin to this tree, and there's like 100 pins that are all just silvery color, like boring, and then they dip them in these solutions, and they from one to another, and at the end when they dry it, it comes out beautiful gold. So that gold's not all the way through, it's only at the layer. And that happens to most jewelry. Every jewelry you wear, it's only on the surface, it's not all the way through, unless you buy it that it's a really solid gold, right? So, but, and of course, in that interim, they also put the backings, the little pin backs. They glue, they put them, they turn them around, and they put a little dab of glue in every one. And there's one person that just does that, just dab, 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 and does like 100 pins on a board, and then gives it to somebody else. And then another person puts a little pin backs, a little needle back, lays them by hand, each one. Drive me crazy. It would drive me crazy. And that is really sturdy, hard glue, and it bonds it together. And that's how they put the pin backs on it. And of course, after all that's done, the final cleaning, and then they put the rubber pin back to it, and then they package it, and then they put it in boxes. So it's quite a huge process, you know. And from there, all the pins are shipped by boat. And so they will they get packaged up a box of all the pins, take it to the port, and and then they put it on boats, and then 45 days later it arrives in LA, and then it's distributed to where it's supposed to go. In a nutshell, that's pretty much how a piece of art or a piece of merchandise is created, from scratch. So going to the factories, I mean, you get a huge appreciation for anything that's manufactured, because it's all done by hand, and it's done by extremely talented people, hard-working people, and I learned quite a bit. I would go home and tell my kids when they were little, I said, you have no idea how good you have it. Everything you have, it's made by someone, and hopefully someday I can take you to see how these things are made by hand. Like what we're wearing, this is all sewn by hand. I mean, everything, we don't see it, we just buy it. So it's an eye opener, it really is. So, yeah. So any other questions?
Well, I had just because hearing about the process behind pins, they're so delicately handmade.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine because you're working on a small scale, are there a lot of restrictions in how you can design them, trying to make sure that it's simple enough to be handmade properly, but also not too simple? Is there ever like a delicate balancing act there, especially when you want to have more fun and try new things?
That's a really good question. That's exactly what happened. We have to make sure that it's designed simple enough to manufacture. You don't want a pin this big and have 8 princesses on it.
Oh yeah.
Because you're not going to get the details. And some people try to do that, and it just doesn't work. You don't get the lines in the hairs, you don't get the eyes filled in, and it's just a mess. So, we'll have like sometimes a freelancer do some design, and we'll say, no, we can't do that detail on it, and it's just too much for that certain size. And I've been guilty of it too. Sometimes I want to design too much in one pin, and like that, the Millennial logo there, that is a pin. I mean, they made, on the top there, that's this bumper sticker, but that was also made into a pin. So that had, I guess, about 8 or 9 colors, I guess, so that's fine. That was pretty simple. It wasn't full body characters, even though we do that all the time on pins. And we've done that pin, we've done it this big. I mean, it's a tiny little thing.
Wow.
And it's got all those colors in it. So they can do quite a bit of work, but you don't want to make it too complicated.
Right.
And but we pushed them over the years. I really have pushed them. Glitter. Oh, can you do glitter instead of just flat color paint? Oh, we'll try. And then they come back and it comes up beautiful.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's a lot of fun. It's fun to experiment and try new things and help the factories further their knowledge and expertise. That's why it's invaluable to go to these factories, because they always have showrooms and they always showcase their best product, their latest stuff. So we go to the showrooms and we go, wow, they can produce that like that, and now we know we can do this kind of work, right? So it's really important to visit factories or showrooms. There's like big shows around the country and around the world that's merchandise shows, and the factories will bring the latest product. And Disney goes to these shows. There's one in Vegas, there's one in Atlanta, there's gift shows, there's toy shows, and that's where you learn a lot of the latest technology and the latest ways of doing things. So,
Awesome.
yeah. I just another thing. I don't know if you have any other question, but you all are going to be in the industry soon. Just one tip that I actually told my daughter when she got into the working world is like, make sure when you apply to a certain job, learn as much as you can about the place that you're going to apply for. Don't just do a generic resume and you want to say it's Disney. You want to learn as much as you can about the department at Disney, not just Disney in general. You want to learn as much as you can. If it's Yellow Shoes, which is our marketing art team, you want to learn as much as you can about Yellow Shoes. What kind of designs do they do? Do they do theme park menus? Do they do, so you want to learn as much as you can about the department you're applying for, and you want to make sure that that your portfolio, you submit a portfolio that's geared towards that job, not just a generic, and you don't want to put too many pieces in your portfolio. I don't know if the teacher explained that to you all already. Yeah, you want to put your top 3 to 5 pieces. I'm looking at some students' work on Friday. I don't know if any of you are all going to be in that, but I'm going to I asked Taylor, right, to just have the students only show me 3 to 5 pieces of art, and their best pieces. So that's it. That's the advice I can give you on that. So, any other questions? Thank you for coming, guys. I really appreciate it.
This is fantastic.
Any last words for the final conversation?
Gosh, I always should have prepared for that one. We can edit that out, right?
Yeah.
Gosh, last word. Just try to find your passion in life, whatever it is, and make a living at it. And you'll be happy for the rest of your life. And that's what the ultimate thing we all want to be is happy, right? It's not about money. I mean, if I would have wanted my kids to just think about money, I would have told them to pursue another career not in the art. Most of my kids are in the art and the creative industry. And, they haven't, they're doing pretty good, but they're not going to be rich probably. I don't know, maybe they will. But yeah, just make sure you're passionate, you're happy, you do your passion. So that's pretty much what I would say.
No, yeah, thanks. Thank you.
Cut. Now we got a lot of pizza we can eat.